Welcome to episode 274 of School Librarians United. I am your host, Amy Herman. This podcast is dedicated to the issues and challenges school librarians face every day. As a school librarian finishing my 17th year, I knew I wanted a podcast which addressed the nuts and bolts of running a successful library program. I don't claim to have the answers, but I hope that this is a platform to share resources and exchange ideas. Now is a perfect time to mention that all the ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast by myself, my interview guests, and listeners who reach out to the podcast are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. When incorporating research, I always make sure to cite my sources. So whether you are a novice or a veteran school librarian, this podcast has something for you. Amanda Jones's upcoming book, That Librarian, will be available starting on August 27th, but you can pre-order your copy now. And if you use the indie bookseller Cavalier House in Amanda's hometown of Denham Springs, Louisiana, you will get a signed copy. I've included a link in the show notes. When you look at the cover of Amanda's book, you might recognize the Freedom Fighter shirt that she's wearing. She reached out to the designer Christy, who then designed a line of That Librarian apparel as well as That Librarian flair, such as a bag, sticker, and mug. I love that we can all be that librarian who advocates for our students' access to books. You will find a link to this online store in our show notes. Please know 15% of the proceeds go to the Texas Library Association, as that is the home state of the designer. I welcome you and all listeners to reach out with your feedback and episode suggestions. You can reach me either on Facebook, on X, formerly known as Twitter. My handle is at LMS_United. On Threads, you can find me at School Librarians United, and on Blue Sky at SLU Podcast, or the email address schoollibrariansunited@gmail.com. If you include your mailing address, I'll be sure to send you a podcast sticker. And now a word from our sponsor, Capstone. Capstone is an innovative publisher and education technology provider of children's content for school libraries, classrooms, and at-home learning. Home of the award-winning PebbleGo research database, Capstone has a passion for creating inspired learning and intellectual curiosity in children, and I'm so excited to be working with them. I'm also grateful to Capstone for their continued commitment to support the podcast in Season 6. They're offering listeners of School Librarians United a very special discount. Visit shop.capstonepub.com and use the code UNITED to get $20 off an order of $100 or more for both print and Capstone interactive ebooks. That's code UNITED for $20 off an order of $100 or more for both print and ebooks on shop.capstonepub.com. Before we get started, I wanted to give my heartfelt thanks to Georgia Library Media Association's Board of Directors, the Conference Committee, and all the attendees for their gracious welcome and opportunity to join this wonderful celebration of our profession. And now for today's episode, Spotlight GLMA and my conversation with 26 librarians attending Georgia Library Media Association's Summer Institute.
Hi, I'm Paula Reed. I'm a middle school media specialist from Walker County, which is in North Georgia. So if you've ever seen Rock City, you've been in my county.
Fantastic. And, I couldn't help but, I was walking through the Expo Center and here at the conference, and I overheard you talking about something that was rather distressing. It's never happened to me before, but I'm hoping that you can give us an idea of what happened to you this year and how you handled it.
It was actually at the beginning of the last school year, and we had a parent over the summer, actually, while I was at GLMA. She came before the school board as a taxpayer to complain about some of the books in our local libraries. And we had some in-service training on our new laws in Georgia, and then I had been at an in-service that day for media specialists with our superintendent and our student support, curriculum people, all of those people at central office level. And I came back from that meeting, and there was somebody in my library, and I didn't realize she was there until I saw her move. And so I saw her stand up from the stacks, and I said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Reed, and this is my media center. How can I help you?" And she told me her first name. And I knew instantly that she wasn't a school person, because any school person would say, "Hi, I'm Stephanie," for example. "I'm the new parapro," or "I'm, Angela, and I'm the new whatever." And they would have introduced themselves according to their job. And she just stood up and said her first name. And I knew instantly who she was. And I knew what she was doing. She had her phone out, and she had a list of papers as she was going through my stacks, looking to see if I had the books that were on her naughty list. And she didn't understand that I hadn't released all of the books that she was complaining about. They were in my system, but they were not actually on the shelves yet. And she was looking for them.
Oh my gosh. I got to tell you, in every building I've ever worked in, parents stay in the office. Community members stay in the office. If we have guests in the building, they are identified. There's a sticker on them that says guest and what time they entered and what time they have to go through security. So it is mind-blowing that just a community member, a random person, was able to come into your space. I would feel absolutely violated.
I was a little upset about it, although I do get a lot of visitors. Former students come to visit me, and a lot of my students are now adults and have families of their own, and they do come at random times. This was an in-service day, and so I think she knew that we didn't have school, and I don't know if she knew that we had a meeting because of her or not, but we did. And when I came back from that meeting, she had been in the media center, and I don't know how long. I do know that she walked in the front door and asked where the media center was, and the secretaries told her. And because it was an in-service day, that was a learning experience for our secretaries as well as the rest of the office staff, that you can't just send somebody into the media center, especially if I'm not there. So if I'm not there, and so they call. Now when I get a visitor, they call me and say, hey, you have a visitor. Are you ready? Are you expecting this person? And they'll send them to me then.
I gotta ask, do you feel supported by your administration when this happened? Because I would feel very attacked, and I would be looking for a source of support from my building administration. How do you feel this situation was handled?
I have to say my school administrators are awesome. I went to my principal before school in-service even started that year, and we had a conversation about banning books and how he felt about it. And my principal is a reader. And so he said, we're not banning books here. And that's exactly how he said it. And I said, good, thank you. That's what I needed to know. My parents are both professional librarians. When I was a kid, they worked at the University of Georgia. And so I grew up in the library. I loved the library. And I was always a language arts teacher. And now as a media specialist, it's my job to protect the ability for all kids to find themselves represented in our collection. And so when she started asking questions as a guest, I said, how can I help you? And she said, well, I have some questions about your books. And I said, well, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'd be happy to address your concerns. No, I've already expressed my concerns. And she had. She went before the school board a couple of months before, but she hadn't addressed them to me, and I pointed that out to her. And as soon as I fully comprehended who she was, I said, perhaps my administrators could best answer your questions. And so I took her to the office. I said, why don't you come with me? And I escorted her to the office, and my principal was not in the building, but my assistant principal was. And he is 6'7" and bald and a little intimidating. And although he's a very gentle giant, he's a former baseball player, but he's still an athlete, and you can tell. And he basically helped her make an appointment with the principal for the next day and then told her to leave. And then she tried to get into the high school that's a half mile down the road, and they wouldn't let her in the building. You have to swipe to get in their building.
Well, and I have to tell you, when I heard you tell your story, I was absolutely appalled. And yet it sounds like this was an important wake-up call, not just for your building, but everybody. And it sounds like your district handled it well. And I would feel good being in this district because they support you and all that you stand for when it comes to student access to books.
Yes, I emailed the curriculum coordinator, and I emailed my superintendent, and my superintendent is actually the one who responded. And in any other system, I would not have felt comfortable, or with any other superintendent for that matter, I would not have felt comfortable emailing the superintendent because he's got other things to worry about than me. And yet I felt like he needed to know this. This lady's trying to get in our building. She's trying to see what we have on her no list, and she doesn't even have children enrolled in our school. This is not my issue to address. This is your issue to address, and he addressed it.
Paula, I'm so grateful for you today. I hope you have a fantastic conference. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Meredith, and I work at a large county in Georgia, and I work at the middle school.
Fantastic. And what is it you'd like to share with listeners today?
I'd like to talk about a couple of things today. I'd like to talk about the books that my students enjoy the most. Of course, with middle schoolers, they love Diary of the Wimpy Kid. They love dork diaries and graphic novels. We also have a lot of avid manga readers at our school. And so I've made it kind of my pet project to really build out a robust manga collection in the last 2 years that I've been serving at my school. I've taken a lot of inspiration from some of the powerhouse school librarians in this area, like Jillian Rudess, Ashley Hawkins, and Sarah Smith. And they're kind of basically my inspiration. But basically, I started out with just Naruto in my collection. Naruto is great, y'all. It's wonderful. So many people love it. However, it's not the only series out there. I've branched out. I've provided a lot of different series for my students, making sure they feel represented. In the beginning, I talked to so many girls at my school who were like, oh, I don't really like manga. And I was like, well, I wonder why that is. Maybe because they're not seeing themselves in these stories. So I made it a priority to get some shoujo manga as well so they could see themselves as the main characters. And I see so much excitement now in that section, all different students, boys, girls, non-binary students. And it's just been so much fun. And I even have some teachers comment because they like reading manga too, like me. And they say, oh, I noticed you have this series. And it's just been, taking off from there. I also want to discuss my favorite program that I do in my library. So this is not an original idea. I kind of piggybacked off some of my mentor librarians in my district. So the idea is called Brain Break, but it's basically lunchtime in the library. That can get a little bit tricky at the middle school level because we have 3 different schedules at our school, one for 6th grade, one for 7th, and one for 8th. So there's not one common lunchtime. Basically, we're serving lunch from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and the students go in 20-minute increments with their classrooms. So you can imagine, how chaotic that can be. I can't just host a club during lunchtime is what I'm saying. But I do have an event, so every grade level gets to participate. Every grade level, I can have 30 students sign up, and they can attend Brain Break. They get to bring their lunch. They can eat with their friends. They get to spin the wheel for some prizes and just kind of hang out and enjoy the space. They do have to keep track of time and, maybe they might not have the exact lunchtime, but it kind of works out one way or another. And it's been a big success. Like, this is the 2nd year that we've done it. And I have so many students clamoring to, when's the next Brain Break? And so, we do it 4 times a year, and it's just been kind of one of our, flagship programs, if you will. So, yeah.
So, Meredith, you were mentioning that, you've had this manga collection, that you have some teachers showing some interest. Have you had any concerns that from teachers who say the only thing that our students are reading is manga?
I do have some teachers that have that mentality, but our students can check out up to 3 books at a time. So, and because of the large size of our school, we have over 2,000 students. So I do have to set limits on how many they can check out, simply because if some students checked out only manga, we wouldn't have any left for the next grade level. So the problem kind of solves it.
Meredith, I'm so glad you decided to stop by and talk with us today. I hope you have a great conference.
Thanks so much, Amy.
Hi, I'm Jan Mollis. I'm a media specialist in a rural county in Georgia. And I've just completed my 4th year as a media specialist in middle school, but my 27th year in education, all at the same middle school. So today I want to talk about my best library hack that I use. We have a learning commons, so a lot of activity inside of our space. It's not a quiet space, but one of the best things that I've found is for me to leave the space and go meet the students and the teachers where they are. And so accidentally, I stumbled upon one way to do this about a year and a half ago. It was at Christmas, and my husband's company had these blow-up Christmas costumes, and one was a tree. And I said, I need that tomorrow. And he loaned it to me, and kind of out of character for me, but I went out to car rider duty. I don't have car rider duty, and I showed up next to my principal, who's saying, who's in here? And I wouldn't tell him. And so I'm waving and dancing, and that has turned into what I like to call every Friday a porch party. And so last year I rolled out, and every Friday morning I took a big Bose speaker out and had a playlist, and we would teachers would come out, or administrators, and we would wave to the parents and welcome the kids to school. Sometimes we'd hold up informative posters, or just posters that say, like, it's going to be a great day, or you're enough, or, what a great parent you are, just random stuff. And then this year, uninvited, But the students started showing up. And so they have dance parties, they have particular line dances they like, they wave. So it's every Friday. And if I'm not there, they come and find me. But there are multiple ways to get out of your space and go meet the students and teachers where they are. And so that's just one way that I've done it. That was free and easy and didn't really impact, my to-do list too much. But students are now comfortable. They see my face. They see a fun side of me.
Jan, what I love is that you've taken something which is oftentimes assigned to us, other duties as assigned, and every single professional I've ever talked to has resented this time away from our space, and yet you've taken this opportunity to raise the profile of the librarian in a very unconventional way.
Well, it's not just getting my face out there, but also this has been a part of our student voice and student choice. It again, accidental, but they get to pick the playlist or the songs. I mean, now there is a list that they choose from, but when I walk out, I hand them the iPad, and they run the show.
Jan, I hope you have a fantastic conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy.
I'm Daryl. I'm a high school librarian in Georgia, and one of the things I really like about my library program is I have a laser cutter, and the kids get to use that. And we've made lots of different projects, some simple engravings, some cutting some different materials, leather, wood, and creating structures and widgets and just really whatever anybody wanted to do. I collaborate a lot with art classes with that. And we have a jewelry class, and they come in and do that. And that has inspired a bunch of kids they see that being made, and they want to come in during free time, and they're like, hey, can I make something like that? Absolutely, come on in, let's play with the laser cutter. And
Okay, so many questions. So first of all, laser cutters are expensive. Could you give us a ballpark of what they cost, and what does it cost to keep those consumables? Because you have to fund it. They do require materials to cut. So how have you worked this out? How did you get your laser cutter, and how do you continue to support this program?
The laser cutter I have is a Glowforge. It was one of the first easily accessible laser cutters. Its software it's cloud-based and super user-friendly and easy not to set anything or anyone on fire. We should avoid that most of the time. I will say, when burning through a 3/4 inch piece of plywood for our school's production of Carrie was really exciting, because there's a fan that sucks all the fumes out the back at a really high velocity, and it fanned the flames, man. It was a good time. So to get the laser cutter, I got lucky. Went during the early pandemic. My school had extra money that we weren't spending because everybody went home, and they said we need to spend it or we won't have it next time, and we want our budget to not dramatically decrease because we had a pandemic. So I was like, hey, let me get $4,500. We're going to buy a Glowforge, and it showed up. It was awesome. One of the reasons I chose Glowforge, it's easily accessible. It was one of the first ones that was easy, and it comes with a pack of materials to cut. So that got us started, and then we just spent a lot of time at the Dollar Tree, because Dollar Tree, you're paying $1 you're going to burn it anyway. So you grab wood, you grab ceramics. Slate is one of our favorite things to engrave because it comes out really, really beautiful. And just leather, cheap leather, good leather, all of it cuts. And you just have to find the right settings to make whatever you find look good. And
so I have to ask you, do you have an architecture program, or do you have any sort of like CAD? Or I know that our architecture program was using the Glowforge to create things that they could then piece together.
We do have an engineering program. They live more in the 3D printing space, which is great. We also have a 3D printer in the makerspace. But I've comboed that a good bit, where a student is having trouble figuring out how they're going to get layers onto their 3D printed object. And I'm like, why don't we just take this, print it, and then engrave it in the laser cutter? And they love that. That's increased our flexibility. Since I got the Glowforge, the space has really expanded. There's lots of options, and if someone was looking for one right now, as I was just talking about with a friend, I would recommend they look into the hilariously named Laser Pecker, because it's more cost effective, and it's about, you can get the top of the line, absolute full package for $2,800. And the capabilities are higher than the Glowforge. The software is not as user-friendly, so that's your trade-off there for more capability.
Well, and Daryl, wouldn't you agree that when you are creating this opportunity, there are some students who are going to be coming to you to use the Glowforge who wouldn't necessarily be regular customers for the library?
Absolutely. Librarians, we all have our students that come in and we're like, oh, hey, you're my library kid. I see you all the time. That's great. Well, when I get the 3D printer and put it out and the Glowforge and people start doing that, I get a lot of students who don't always come into the library, and they're asking me to do fascinating things, and their imaginations are boundless. So they think of things that I can never think of, and we try a lot of things that don't work out. But, you don't make art or creations without breaking things, and it's just a lot more fun to break something with a 45-watt laser.
Daryl, I'm so grateful you decided to share with us today. I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Hey, I'm Carrie Dixon. I am at a public school, and I served 6 to 7 graders, and we've been open now for about 3 years, coming on 4.
So you had a really interesting COVID year. And, I think everybody can remember COVID year and with very mixed emotions. But you did something rather phenomenal. And I want you to share, because I've never heard of anybody teaching in this particular configuration.
Absolutely. So what our district ended up doing was dividing our middle school. And I had to take a 6 through 8, your typical middle school library, and shift it to more of a 6th grade, 7th grade library, while also being able to support whoever moved into the 8th grade library, making sure they also had everything that they needed to match with their standards.
Wow. So you were doing a couple things at the same time. I'm assuming you didn't have students in the building when this was all happening.
COVID year, no, but we were virtual a lot, but teachers got to work in the building, so I was able to physically go into the building and work on things. A lot of boxes were needed, a lot of pallets, but it was an interesting experience, having to go through thousands of titles and books and hand look and everything and try to dissect what was needed, not even knowing who was going to be in the other position, trying to make the best decisions possible for both students.
And I'm just thinking about how this would work. But am I right that you would have moved a significant amount of fiction as opposed to the nonfiction, which, am I right, you were probably going through more of the fiction titles to move it up to the middle program?
Yes, the librarian before me did mark some 8th grade only, which I just kind of started there. I was like, okay, great. These are kind of already divided. They're maybe a little too mature. But what I'm learning now, as my 4th year work since the divide, I've missed a couple of titles. So I now work with the media specialist across the street from us. And I'm like, hey, this one might be a little too mature. Can it come back over? Find a home over there. But nonfiction was more tedious. Not only standards-based, but how old is the material? It was ancient. So I'm having to actually support my nonfiction a little bit more, and having to supplement it with subscriptions and things like that.
So it sounds like you were able to do a lot of weeding at the same time. I mean, it sort of supports several things happening at the same time.
Yes, weeding was a battle for me. I got asked every day, why are you getting rid of all these books? Why are you doing? A lot of times, it's just they weren't checked out. They're not circulated. And as someone who doesn't understand circulation stat, it was hard to say, well, this book isn't checked out. It's not loaned. It's not used. So it would be better off going into the discard pile and hopefully someone else finding it a permanent home, not on my shelves. So that's kind of how me and my administration worked it out. Is I won't get rid of them. We're not going to have a burning book party. We're going to have just a discard pile, and teachers can absolutely take them if they want them, with the knowledge of these are way outdated.
That's when we are going to make art projects out of them. We're going to cut things out, and it's absolutely we can do origami with some of the pages. Yes. I'm so grateful for you to join us. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
My name is Todd Cates. I am a media specialist at a high school, grades 9 through 12, about 2,000 kids and 140 faculty and staff.
Fantastic. And I heard that there's a name that you've been called by your staff.
I've been called a lot of names, but my favorite is the Wizard. They do call me the Wizard. I tend to show up and magic seems to happen, and I'm happy about that. I'm also happy that I use that in my signature, and my superintendent said, you're absolutely right. You should absolutely be called the Wizard.
I'm hoping that you have like a cloak and you have one of those sort of like wizard caps. I mean, truly, you can really work this.
I do stand at the door with the staff sometimes and tell them they shall not pass if they don't return their books. And I wait till those seniors to do that to them, but I do that from time to time.
So let me ask, what are some things that you have found your staff especially appreciates? You're coming in the nick of time, you're saving the day, you're the wizard. What are some things that have really made you memorable to your staff?
We just went 1-to-1, and so that was a big deal this year, of course. Prior to that, when I started about 9 years ago, we had 4 technology cards. We ended up with 22 technology cards before we went 1-to-1. And I seem to always be able to make sure that everybody had everything that they needed at whatever time they needed it. And so that's where I got to be the wizard.
Can you give us examples of how you've been a wizard when it comes to supporting your students?
Getting kids online, getting kids those resources so that they can achieve in the classroom is a big deal for me. We're going away from BYOD next year, so that's going to be a bit of a hiccup in getting kids used to the devices that we're going to have to use. So just making sure they've got what they need when they need it.
What advice would you give to school librarians who are just starting out?
Don't be afraid to say no. And don't be afraid to say, I don't know it, but I will find out, because I don't know everything. I'd like to think I do, but I get reminded of that by my wife on a regular basis. But I can always find out. There's always a resource that I can access or I can get you that you can use to get what you need. So don't be afraid to say I don't know, and don't be afraid to say no. No is a complete sentence, and it's okay to say no. But be prepared to go beyond those two statements.
I'm so grateful, Tom. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and everything you shared with us this morning.
Hi, I am Karen, and I am a media specialist in Georgia at an elementary school. I work with a very diverse group of children who are from all around the world.
Wow. So you say that, but I'm hoping you can be a little more specific.
We have an international student body. Many of these children are from Ethiopia, Nigeria, Afghanistan, other countries in Africa, and other countries in Asia.
Fantastic. And I have to imagine that is going to have an impact on the collection that you're building and the books that you're offering. Have you found a way to support your English language learners who are coming to your space?
Oh, yes. I've been trying to continue getting more books that are at an easier level, but that are still of interest to these students. Our ELL teachers really want to work with basic skills, so I try to keep those kinds of books.
I'm guessing your school year has already ended. Many of us in the United States, we are still in school. I'm hoping you can share with us some of the tips you've used to get those books back at the end of the school year.
Previous years I have taught, we always ended up with hundreds of missing books at the end of the year. So this year, what I decided to do was to make this a competition between the different grades. I had signs posted up front with how many books were missing from each grade level, and each day I would change the number And every morning on the news, we would announce which grade was doing the best and which grade was doing the worst. And even though I was not offering prizes, I was very impressed with the success of this program. The kids would stop in the hallway and look, and sometimes they would flip back to see, where a class started and now how far they've come. So yes, that worked for us.
I think what I like especially about this program is you're not going to pit teacher against teacher. And I think that it gets very personal on that level because all of a sudden teachers start to scrutinize and the student might feel singled out. But if you're pitting grade level against grade level, you can avoid that sort of, stressor.
Exactly. And kids are so happy to compete for anything at all. So I used that desire for competition to get back hundreds of books that I did not expect to get back.
Well, bragging rights, I know, definitely. And you got to make sure to showcase that, in the school news. Let me ask, do you have lockers in your school so you can hopefully be the happy recipient of all those lost library books?
We do not have lockers. We have a lot of books that get lost in teacher classrooms, particularly with the younger kids. The kids put them in their desks, and then eventually they make their way around into the classroom library because, the kids just put them there. So that's what happens to our books.
Wow, so wait a minute. It hadn't even occurred to me that somebody might actually reshelve one of your books in the classroom libraries. That's not supposed to happen.
No, but this is usually the students who are doing it. They get them mixed up. The teachers, if they find them, will always bring them back, but that could take a while.
Karen, I hope you have a fantastic summer. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much.
I'm Tammy, and I am leaving an elementary media center. I actually opened that school 7 years ago, and just really feel like it's time for a change.
So forgive me, but you've been at the elementary school for a long time. Can you give us some background?
Yes, I started as a third grade teacher, did that for 8 years, and then I taught early intervention reading for a year, and then moved into the media center. And I did not know at that time how much I would love being in the media center. There's so much room for creativity and technology and reading and relationships, and it's the funnest job in school.
So forgive me, but how many years were you at elementary?
24.
Wow. So you're on summer vacation, and like all good librarians, you can't sit still. So what are you doing with this summer to really prepare yourself for your next adventure working in the middle school?
Well, one thing I'm starting to do is read middle school books. The Georgia Book Awards are great, and so I've started with those. And I've already read 3 of them, and they're fantastic. And I've just so many applications for middle school kids. I'm also here at GLMA Summer Institute, attending all the middle school sessions to learn. I've gone on a couple of middle school site visits. I went to, from the people who have won like the Georgia Exemplary Media Program, I went and visited the last year's winner, and spent the day with her and just took tons of photos and notes and just compiling lots of ideas from people who know what they're doing.
Fantastic. Yeah, I have a lot of role models for me when I made the leap from elementary to high school. Friends, now's a good time to make sure that you listen to the middle school playlist because we have a lot of impressive middle school librarians who've shared their expertise. Tammy, I think it's really exciting because, forgive me, are you moving to a middle school that feeds in from your elementary school?
No, I'm not. Totally different county. So I wish I had that opportunity that, my kids that I've had were feeding into my school, but that job wasn't open. Mm-hmm. So no, changing counties, changing schools, changing grade levels, all the things.
I mean, when you think about it, going to a middle school, this is a whole new different group of kids, different types of programming. That's going to be a considerable change for you in your routine.
It is. I agree. I guess you're wondering why I'm willing to do that this close to retirement, huh?
Yes, and that is exactly what I was wondering.
I like creating. I like building new things. I like innovative ideas. And I felt very stifled in the school where I was. And this school looks like they are desperately seeking someone who wants to do what I love to do. And so I feel like it's just a good match.
Tammy, I'm so excited for your new school. I'm excited for your students and your new staff. I'm sure they're going to see this breath of fresh air come right in. You're going to be a little tornado of positivity. So, Tammy, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you.
My name is Casey, and I am in a middle school library in Gwinnett County, Georgia.
Fantastic. And actually, we've met your colleague. We met Meredith. So tell me about your teamwork that you have, this partnership that you have in this space, because I would love to learn more about how you two are able to make this program work.
Fantastic. I am delighted and very, very lucky to work with Meredith. It's been this is my first year of this, and I wasn't an educator before, so this is a totally new field for me. I love books, I love kids, and I actually was a database manager in my previous career. And so, you put together databases in children's ministry, and I feel like I have absolutely found my niche. So that's not about Meredith at all, I apologize. So the beauty of working with Meredith is that we have complementary skill sets. So like I said, my background is in databases and statistics and database management and query building and things like that. So we're able to ask really powerful questions and then query the data to find evidence to support and answer those questions. And we're able to improve things for administration and things like that. That has been really exciting. Like, hey, our 8th graders aren't returning books. I can show you the numbers for that.
Wow, you're creating needs I didn't know I had.
I love that about data. So I'm a data nerd, and Meredith has got complementary skill sets. You have learned about her manga fascination. I've learned so much. I've learned so much working with her this year. So we work together to accomplish the goal. We're very fortunate that we have similar goals, and our aims are the same about serving our students and how can we best serve our students. And are we spending our time serving our students? And so she's taught me a lot about publications, about Canva, about making the data, the statistics that I pull. She's like, okay, well, how is that relevant? And what do we learn from this? And how do we present that in a way that people are actually learning something from?
Yes, I've learned that my administrators prefer infographics to spreadsheets. So you're going into your second year. You've got a summer to enjoy, but going into your second year, I'm curious to know, what will you do differently moving forward now that you're going to be having your second year together? And what kinds of things do you hope to achieve?
I actually have learned a lot at this conference, and so I learned that for a year I've been doing something wrong. Oh no! But those label protector covers, you actually have to apply a lot of pressure to. So there's a tool for that. I wasn't using it, and so I've got a lot of books to clean up next year. But I really look forward to collaborating with teachers, seeing how my niche of pulling information out can better serve the students through meeting teachers' needs. And I look forward to a lot of book prepare. Unfortunately, we're in a high circulation school, and so we've pulled hundreds of books that just need some TLC to keep going. And I'm looking forward to growing more as just in the profession. It's wholly new to me.
Well, I think your students are so lucky, and to imagine have two of you working in this space and feeling passionately about your job. Here you are on your summer vacation at a school librarian conference. Casey, I think you're off to a great start. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
My name is Ashley. I am an elementary school media specialist in the middle of Georgia, and I am a regional library media specialist of the year.
Congratulations. Now, I got to tell you, there was just all these things that you do that are absolutely inspiring. The one that really stuck out for me was just how incredibly impactful you've been on your staff.
So I like to have fun, and I think other people like to have fun too. They just need a reason to gather together. So I force them to have fun with me. This year we have really ramped up. We kind of officially call it the Sunshine Committee. It's just, I like to plan the fun there. We took several mystery trips where I basically told them how much they were going to pay me and when to show up, and they got on a chartered bus to go somewhere. They may or may not have guessed where we were going. We did a holiday light display that was like an hour and a half away from our school. And then a different time we did a community theater and dinner combination.
I love this because it's so easy when you work in a large building to find yourself sort of isolated or working just with your grade level team or your the people who teach the same subject, but you found a way to sort of break down those barriers and bring people together sort of artificially, and yet everybody is in for the fun.
Yes, so one of my coworkers, we did a progressive dinner. I had 3 people volunteer to host their homes. So we did appetizers at one, main course at another, and dessert at a final location. And the next day we were at school, I went to personally thank them for offering their homes. And we both left the conversation in tears because she had never felt like she connected before with our staff. And that really meant a lot. The personal invitation to join a group of colleagues that you may or may not be close to really made the difference for her in that particular social event.
Well, I happen to know that right now we're in a time where there's a teacher shortage, and I know that there's a lot of sort of high turnover. And sometimes people say one of the reasons why it's easy to leave a building is because you didn't make any connections.
Yes, I agree with that. I want to love the people that I work with. I want to have fun while I'm at work. I want to commiserate at work about what's not great about work with people I like. And for some reason, that makes the not great things more bearable and kind of fun because you're in it together.
You know, something as sort of, forgive me, basic as like a potluck. But didn't you organize some at school during the work week?
So it actually at the end of last year, I went ahead and decided the first Friday of every month for this current school year, these are the themes. Like we are doing luau's, we are doing brunch, we are doing dips, we are doing 5 ingredients or less, we are doing your signature dish. I mean, I had 10 months of potlucks lined up a year in advance in some cases.
You are kidding me. I mean, that just sounds like a home run every time. Now I need to know what other mention all of them right now.
Okay, I think I hit the main ones. Now I'm drawing a blank. I will say, I did forget one, and it was the best one. Grilled cheese bar. Different breads, different cheeses, jams, jellies, accompaniments. It was spectacular. We had like 7 George Foreman / griddles going at one time. One of our administrators might have used half a stick of butter to grill her cheese. It was amazing.
Food is the single thing that brings everybody together. And you do this in a way that really is disarming because we have to leave some of our frustrations at the door. You're going to talk over food and it's in the middle of the day and, but you meet people where they are. What a great way to bring your staff together and closer at the same time.
We really enjoyed it, and I'm always looking forward to what we're going to do next. Now, so not just the committee, but everyone on the staff at large is like, hey, what if we did this? Or what if we did this? Things they want to do individually, but they need people to do them with, and they think it would be more fun if we did it en masse.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you so much. It was so great to talk to you.
Hi, I am Christy. I am the media specialist at a local elementary school, and I'm also the district coordinator, media services coordinator for our school district.
2 major responsibilities, and you are at the elementary level. And let me ask you, we are here celebrating you, and would you tell listeners why? Because, it's always neat to hear what librarians are doing in their spaces.
Yeah, so what we do in our space is one of the things that we focus on from a district and from my school is talking about the importance of that Learning Commons or Media Center being a safe space for students. We talk about, and what I focus on is, I see these kids grow from a 5-year-old to a 10 or 11-year-old. I meet them when they're at their youngest, and we live together for 6 years. I watch them grow. I'm their safe person. A lot of these kids, we're the only safe person that they know. We're the person who really watches them go, and so I really try to build relationships with kids. We talk about that at the district level as well. Nice place. Just make sure that we build that relationship. Make sure that the Learning Commons has an environment of fun, of acceptance, of safety, a place where kids can come. So that's what I really focus on at my local school. We have random disco parties all the time. You never know what's going to happen when you walk in the library. It's so much fun. We play disco music because it doesn't have curse words in it. And nobody knows what Bad Mama Jamma is. So you can do that. So we just focus on really just connecting with the kids, making sure that they know that we love them, we care for them, while we're stretching them at the same time.
I'm super curious because we have a room full of school librarians and you get singled out for your programming in your school. Would you let listeners know what award you just received?
Yes. So I received the award for Regional Library Media Specialist of the Year for the Northeast Georgia region.
You said that you're also the district librarian. It's not unusual for school librarians to wear multiple hats and have multiple responsibilities, but to also be the district librarian, how do you balance the demands of your immediate space and with your district responsibilities?
Wow, that's super hard. Not very well sometimes, but no. So I just kind of really keep a focus on, well, we have 37 schools. We have 34 media specialists, K-12. And so I just really work on trying to, one, make sure that I give them information from the district and share our district perspective with them, and really focus on trying to grow us as a whole district to come together to make the Learning Commons and the media centers like the true hub of the schools. But yeah, it is very, very difficult. I work with directors of technology. I work with teaching and learning from the district level. I work with, all the different levels. And a lot of, I don't know what goes on in high school. Like, how do you lead that? I'm scared of high school people. That's why I work with little people. It's hard, but I just try to really make sure that I'm speaking for the media specialists, that they get the information that they need. A lot of times when the principal says or the teacher says, well, somebody said the media specialists would know about this. And we were like, what? So I just try to make sure that. But it is very, very hard to give 100% to both. But we get it done.
Well, I think what's fascinating is it's not just about making sure that everybody on your team is informed about the district and making sure that those messages are carried throughout all of your schools, but you also are advocating in the other direction. You are making sure that the administration and the district administration is appreciating the challenges that your librarians and colleagues, your colleagues, that is being conveyed up. In other words, it's going in both directions.
Absolutely. Because, a lot of times people don't know what we do. We're the only person in the school. How many times is your principal's like, you're doing a great job. I'm really not sure what you're supposed to be doing, but you're really doing great. People are happy. So, yes, I work with principals. I work with district leaders to say, hey, you know what? Guess what? Media specialists can do that. Case in point, we had a huge initiative for our counselors, really trying to get our teachers and our students to learn about sources of strength, right? And so I had them come and speak to the media specialists and the media clerks, and they were talking about how they needed people, like you were there trying to get kids to make videos to put on the TVs. I'm like, we're your people. Like, we are your people. Like, what are you doing? Like, why is this the first time that we've heard about this? So, just really trying to advocate with, yes, we can do that for you. When we have a district initiative for literacy, I'm like, who's your number one player? We are. Let me tell you what media specialists can do for you. Let me tell you how you can do this. And then we go back to media specialists and say, okay, let's talk about how we can support our administrators. Let's talk about how we can support our district with initiatives. And so try to really, really put myself in both worlds. It's kind of hard, but it's great. And I'm so blessed to have district leadership that respect me and respect us as media specialists and truly support and see us as being value players.
Christy, I'm so excited you decided to share, because it is vital that we recognize that in order for those kinds of messages to reach our administration, sometimes it takes that sort of unified voice, having one of us stepping up as that sort of mediator between the administration and our team of school librarians. And you're the person to do it. Your district's in good hands, and your teachers are lucky to have you. And your administrators, I'm sure, are realizing all the good that your school librarians do every day. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So my name is Amy, and I teach in a suburb of Metro Atlanta. And right now, I just finished my 6th year teaching language arts, but I am in school to be a school library media specialist, but I'm doing a dual endorsement in both school library media and instructional technology. So I'm already sort of using some of that in the classroom, but I graduate in December 24. Whoop, whoop. So I'm ready to ready to get that over, but I am interviewing with some libraries right now. I'm just waiting for the right door to open.
I'm really curious because as a current teacher, how have you integrated the things you've learned in your classes, in your programming, the classes that you're taking for your degree, into your current classroom setting?
I think it's just combining all of the stuff with both like my current library media center with our media specialist. So because she wasn't a content area teacher before she came to our school, I'm sort of helping her in some ways kind of have that leeway into our like planning teams, especially with like language arts, obviously. I've also started dabbling in some AI tools, both the teachers and students, because obviously that's become a really big focus on the instructional technology part. And especially with being at middle school and also having taught high school before, that's something that students try to weasel their way into the classroom anyway. So it's one of the things that I want to, especially this next year, since I'll be teaching 8th grade, start kind of pushing them to use it more responsibly. And that's one of the things I'm trying to get a lot of other teachers on board with, because a lot of them, they're not really old teachers, but they've sort of gotten stuck. They've sort of gotten stuck in their ways, and because they've been doing the same thing with the same people for so long, they don't really want to do anything new. So the thought of like AI especially is really intimidating for a lot of people. And so I'm trying to kind of push people out of their comfort zone a little bit and try to get them more familiar with that, how we can use it for our students and use it effectively.
I'm stuck because when it comes to AI, there's people who feel we should be in the job of catching kids using AI. And then there are others who feel we should be supporting our students in using AI in ways that would be, I dare I say, acceptable, more appropriate. I don't like to use those words, but really in a way that isn't punitive or deceptive, but rather constructive towards a learning goal. How do you feel?
I definitely think it's something that students need to be able to use because it's not going away anytime soon. I will admit, as a classroom teacher, I have had to be like gotcha to some of the students because they're not using it the right way, and it's very clearly not their work. But I think one of the things that I've tried to show students before is the difference between, like, yes, you can use it to get started, but, AI is still, man-made. It's still limited in a lot of ways. So you still have to be able to add your own ideas to it because an AI generator is not going to be able to pull specific quotes from a book and explain, how they fit this thing. And so I think that's one of the ways that I would like to show students how to use it. And especially for our students who may struggle with like writing, whether that's, just a personal weakness, or maybe they're speakers of other languages, or maybe they're special ed students, being able to use that to their advantage and getting their thoughts down. And so they're not, hyper fixating on like, oh, I'm just trying to get my ideas down. And they're worrying so much about that to where they never actually get the content out. That's one of the ways that I've thought about doing it. If I'm still in the classroom next year, since I'll be co-teaching again, and seeing how, that might work out for those students to get them, kind of over that mental creative hump, so to speak, that, they struggle with getting down.
Well, and I hope you get your library. I really do. But I also think that you would be an absolute incredible asset to any staff, given how much you have specialized your skills in the last couple of years.
I mean, I'm definitely open to a little bit of everything, because in my county in particular, our technology people and our library people, they're housed in the same area, but they're generally separate. So I've also looked into potentially doing our instructional technology coaching position, just because a lot of what I've done is, helping teach people how to use tools. And obviously it's mostly been on the teacher end. I've done some stuff with students, but, obviously permissions and student privacy and all that kind of limits certain things. But that's one of the things I've also been interested in, since it also kind of goes along with my degree. And that's actually been recommended to me by a lot of people, because they're like, you do such a great job with like teaching us like how to use it. It's just, like I said, finding that right door to be open.
I'm so excited for you. I think you're going to land well, and any district would be lucky to get you. Amy, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the conference.
Thanks, Amy.
My name is Holly Brown. I am a middle school media specialist in Griffin, Georgia. It's about 60 miles south of Atlanta. We have about 450 students.
Fantastic. Now, I want to hear about a program that you ran in January because I think it's something that listeners could easily modify and use in their own schools.
Definitely. January is National Hobby Month, and in an effort to try to get students off of their phones scrolling, we wanted to do some non-screen activities, I guess you would say. We had a week of crocheting. We had some community partners. My husband bought yarn and crochet needles for all my students that participated. Had a lot of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that never knew that they thought it would be cool to crochet. That was 1 week. We also did origami. We did yoga. I will plan better next year and have a yoga instructor come in, but YouTube yoga was fun. The students love it. They still come back and say, Miss Brown, do you have any more yarn? Do you have any more needles? When are we going to be able to do it again? So I think it was a very successful program, not very cost restrictive, and it was a lot of fun.
I know that in my thrifting adventures, it is not unusual to find bags of, half-started projects. I'm thinking about yarn discards where people have, abandoned projects and all of a sudden they have these sort of random skeins of yarn. So it would not be a bad idea to check out your church rummage sales and your thrift shops.
Yes.
So let me ask you, moving into the summer, you are on vacation, but as librarians, we are never resting. What are some things that are sort of on your back burner and you're thinking about as you look ahead to the next year?
Well, we are looking forward to our book club. We do a lit lunch book club. We just finished Starfish by Lisa Phipps and had a pizza party. Had a lot of participants from our 6th grade group, which was awesome. We're going to do Benefits of Being an Octopus next, which I love that. I'm also looking forward to starting a library ambassadors group. So many people at Summer Institute, they've got some really good information, so I'm really looking forward to that, just to get some additional help. I'm without a para, so I want to be able to put my students to use. And they're excited about coming to the Media Center, so I want to make it where they can become owners of that space.
Your students are awfully lucky to have you, and I know that your teachers and your building are all the better because you're their librarian. Thank you so much and have a great conference.
Thank you, Amy.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Bradford. I work at Fry Elementary School with Ashley Sherman. I am her paraprofessional in the Media Center.
I find that fascinating because I know a lot of librarians who consider themselves lucky to be here. And you are part of a team, and you have 2 people from one school coming. What is that like when you come to the conference? Because your work partner is here also.
It's worked to our advantage because while she's holding sessions, I'm able to attend what she would like me to or something that I would like to attend, and then we can get together and collaborate.
I love that because you're sort of covering your bases.
Absolutely.
I think that there's all too often, if you go to a conference, you want to be there's some sessions that are scheduled at the same time.
Yes, that is very true. So this has worked out very much to our benefit so we can make sure to see and do all that we want while here.
Well, I think that's fantastic because obviously you both work in the same school. You know about the students you want to support and the programs you want to try. And this is a way for you to capitalize on all these opportunities.
You said it. Yep.
So let me ask, how do you work out the sort of balance between what you two do? You tag in, tag out. When you are at work every day, what are the kinds of things that you do so that Ashley can focus on, say, the immediate needs of the students?
It is a behind the scenes, which is perfect for me. If you know Ashley Sherman, she is the show. She brings the party. She is the party. I like to be behind the scenes. I like to make it look flawless and seamless for her. And that's my job. I love it. So, I do the book returns. When she reads the books to the children and schedules those times, then I check the books in and then check them out to the students. So we do work hand in hand in all aspects of the library very well.
Well, and I love that because you have to have a dynamic. You have to be able to read each other and respond to changes in the class dynamic and work together as true characters. Let me ask you, this is a new calling for you. How have you gone about learning more as your job gets more and more involved and complex?
It helps, again, having Ashley Sherman knows where to direct me to help me in that. But I did begin my teaching career as a kindergarten parapro. Then I moved on after 3 years. I was an MOID parapro. And now being in the media center and having that background, it's worked fabulous to help all students in those ranges, and then as well grow with the other students that come in that I never was able to see.
Well, and no experience is ever wasted. I have to imagine you are excited. You've got the summer ahead of you. As somebody who works in the library, do you do anything in the summer that sort of keeps you sort of thinking about your library and going back to work? Do you enjoy, reading the books that your students read?
Absolutely. So we do that. We'll check out to ourselves for the summer books from our own library. So that way we know where and what they might enjoy reading. And especially for the ones that find it difficult to pick a genre and go with it, it's very beneficial to read all the books that we can during that time, which unfortunately during the school year, we're so busy. So this is something we can't do.
I'm so jealous. I've got to imagine there are a lot of people who wish that they not only had an assistant, but one who would come with them to the conferences so they could work together.
Yes, I've heard that several times.
Well, I'm so glad that we had an opportunity to talk. You and I did a little behind the scenes getting ready with the badges yesterday. So I'm grateful. Have a great rest of the conference, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I have loved meeting you.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Adams. I am an elementary library media specialist out Kennesaw, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and we just got our certification as a Library Learning Commons.
Okay, so I'm dying to know because, for us, we just call our spaces whatever we want to call our spaces in Michigan. And I didn't realize that Georgia has a process by which you become a certified Library Learning Commons. So tell us about this process because it sounds like it was fairly involved.
It was. It took about 5 years, and it encompasses about 5 different aspects. It involves collaboration. It involves specific spaces. My specific spaces include a small group area, a large group instruction area, a soft seating for fun reading, makerspace, and a newsroom.
So I'm dying to know that your building was obviously on board with funding all of this.
Not really. I am very, very fortunate our county gets good funding. We do have a budget, and it was going over the years, so a lot of it was not money specific, and genreification doesn't cost a whole lot of money. It's a lot of work, but it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. Setting up a makerspace does not cost a whole lot of money if you do it piecemeal. So a lot of it was just piecemeal. Like I said, it's been a long time coming, but one of the biggest parts was just replacing the big old boat tables with smaller tables on casters that can be wheeled in and out, can be reconfigured for small group, for collaboration, for student and meetings.
Well, I'm curious, did you get any of your stakeholders to get some buy-in? Because, invariably we're supporting our students, we're supporting the teachers. Did you solicit the feedback from your stakeholders when you went into this process 5 years ago?
I talked to my principal, told her it was coming. That was on my radar, and she was fine with it, but she really didn't understand it. So last year when I really started to get serious, I've been getting serious, but it's been a long thing. But when I finally sat down and built the website, which is the portfolio, I sent it to her, and she called me in, and we met, and she looked at me, and she said, I had no idea.
But how exciting, because what you're doing is raising the profile of what you do and the value that you bring to your entire school community writ large.
And that's the part I love. I've got parents parents got on board. They were very excited about it this year. The foundation very generously funded a new newsroom. So that was a big plus. And STEM certification, so the STEM teachers moving into the makerspace as well.
This sounds like a win-win-win. I imagine you're excited, your school year is over, you're on summer break, but you're coming back to a year full of being in the Learning Commons. That's got to be exciting.
It is, and we've got a new principal coming on board, so that's exciting. But elevating the school library is on my book list to be read. picked it up at AASL and at the GLMA conference, obviously, enjoying that. When you're passionate about what you do, it's not work to learn.
Ellen, I'm so grateful you shared with all your expertise with us today. I hope you have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you.
My name is Lanier Miller, and I am one of the coordinators of Library Media Services. And every day I have the opportunity to be in the field and support the school library media specialists in our district, to mentor them, to offer suggestions for programming, and to communicate with principals and educate principals what our role is and how to just foster a culture and love of reading in there.
I need one of you in my life. I really do think that everything would be better if I had somebody like you in my district. So forgive me, give us an idea of how many people you oversee in terms of library, the grade levels, and how is your day spent?
So in our district, we have 2 coordinators. Between the both of us, we split the district. And so I support about 50 media specialists, and she has another 50. That is comprised of both elementary, middle, and high school media specialists. I set my schedule each day to visit a library in the morning and another one in the afternoon. I go to each media specialist, talk to them about their goals for their media center, and we discuss different ideas to help build their program in their schools. Sometimes I'm supporting with helping them shelve books and seeing whatever it is that they need while I'm there. I'm supporting with an event that they may be having. So it varies from day to day, but just supporting them with whatever it is that they need.
So obviously you meet together as a group every once in a while. Is that the case? So what does a district meeting look like for you when everybody comes together?
Oh, our district meetings are the best. I was actually just talking to one of our media specialists about feeling like you have a sense of community that you don't have when you're in a school building because it's just you. And so that is our opportunity to talk about best practices. It's also an opportunity to vent and offer suggestions to one another, to talk about new resources that we purchased to help support our media specialists. We really use that time to just kind of bounce ideas and build a sense of community.
I'm going to tell you right now, my life as a librarian would immensely made easier if Lanier was in my district helping me along. I know that it would have been a comfort to me because it's so hard when you have to ask for help from gen ed educators and they don't understand. Can I ask, what is something that's on your radar right now, something that you know your teachers are working through that you want to make sure that you support them with?
It is for our district a big priority, focusing on the science of reading. We see a lot of struggling readers in our district. And so we've really been intentional with our media specialists about collaborating with all of the teachers in their building, even if it's the music teacher, finding a way to connect, to provide resources, and to guide them, welcome them into their space, and give them the resources to help all of our students become proficient readers and lovers of books.
Fantastic. You know, I know that you have goals moving forward as a district coordinator of library media specialists or school librarians in your space. What are some things you are hoping to work on in the year ahead?
Oh, great question. So one of my goals would be to keep attending professional development. A lot of our new media specialists, they're brand new. They're a clean slate. They love all the things. They're easier to support. And our veteran media specialists, I want to find ways to support them, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and as a veteran school librarian, I appreciate this because, I got to tell you, I went to library school. I graduated, in 2007? So, yes, no, this is absolutely necessary. I feel seen. Lanier, you're wonderful. I'm excited that you were able to spend some time with us today. Let us know, are you going to, the rest of the summer, are you going to go to ALA Annual?
I will be at ALA. I'm hoping to have the opportunity to learn more there and to be able to connect and collaborate with more of our school librarians there.
Thank you so much and have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Nicole Taylor. I work for Atlanta Public Schools. I'm a high school librarian. This is my second year, going into my third year, and I'm so excited to be here at GLMA.
So tell us, what do you want to share with listeners today?
Today, I would like to answer what EdTech tool should all school librarians know and use for their students. And I believe they should use Canva. Number one, Canva is amazing for so many different reasons. The videos, the projects, anything they need in high school, they're able to use with Canva. You can also record with Canva, print, PDF.
What else would you like to share with listeners today?
I would like to share what my goal is this year. My goal is to start a podcast. I'm new to library, and I love this position. I've been a teacher for 22 years. And I've always wanted to start a podcast with my students, especially elementary students. I've always taught elementary school, but with high schoolers, I'm ready to do it. And I have an idea from your podcast training that I would love to do a podcast for librarians, high school librarians, just have us to talk about what we do, what we go through every day, how our lives are, to try to make sure that we stay relevant.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm Amanda. I'm a high school librarian in Forsyth, Georgia. I teach at Mary Persons High School. This is going into my third year. And I actually took a weird route into library. I was a public librarian before jumping into the school system. So my view is not based on standards. It's based on community and relations. I want to hit on my advice to a first-year librarian. Learn your collection. I don't care if you check it out at all, but figure out what you have on the shelves, go through, because that will help you be able to hit when a kid comes in and says, I'm looking for a book about this. Well, if you have an idea of what you got, you can pull options that are similar. So that's one of my number one things is learn your collection. I also want to say that one of the most important things you can do is build a relationship with your teachers and build an informal relationship if you can, not just a school relationship, because I have been able to help more teachers by just a passing conversation in a hallway on what are you doing today? How are you feeling? What's going on? And they'll talk about their lessons and what they're excited about, and you can find resources to support them without it having to be an official process, and they're more willing to come to you in the future with an official request.
Fantastic. Well, let me ask you, as a former public librarian, how do you feel that experience has enriched the value that you have to your new school because of that past experience?
I have more experience in doing relationship building and also looking for what the students enjoy and what will draw them in. Because part of the public library process was you wanted to get people in the door checking books, and they were willing to be in there. School librarians and students aren't always willing to be in there. So you really don't force the book down their throat. Like, I don't encourage them to read. I want them to come in there. I want to talk to them. I want to feel about their day. How are you doing? It's that public service aspect that you get from the public library that sometimes I've noticed with other teachers and librarians, the kids have to be there. They're a captive audience. Make it fun. Don't make it that they have to be there. Make it that they want to be in there. So don't force the expectations of, you're in here, you got to get a book. You got to be doing something. Sometimes they just need a space to chill, and then they'll come to you, and they'll talk to you, and then you can build on that. My first year, it took me 3 months before I checked a book out to a student that didn't want to be in there, and now that student was my number one book checkout this year.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the conference. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Catherine. I work in a middle school at 800 students, sometimes 9, sometimes, we've been as high as 1,000. I want to talk to you, this is your first year as a librarian, or this is your first year at this particular school for you. That is your library. It does not belong to the principal. It does not belong to the ELA department. That's your library. You own it, okay? When people come in, you say, welcome to my library, okay? The librarian position molds to you, your personality, your skills, your talents, okay? And don't let anybody tell you, this is how Ms. Young, for me it was Ms. Young, this is how Ms. Young did it last year. And I look at them and I say, I'm here. That's not how we're going to do that. I spent my first year rearranging the tables. Every time I was gone, the parapro would push them all together. And I'd come back and I would separate them and I would put them in these asymmetrical configurations and I would go away, come back, and they'd be all lined up again. We finally had to come to Jesus and we got that fixed. So my library is mine. I play jazz music. I turn down the lights. I have lavender scented air freshener. People love it. They want to come in because they say it's so cool and calm and soothing. But you make it you. If you want it bright, go bright. If you want it quiet, go quiet. Own it. It's you. It's your space. It's your personality. You want to be there. Make it someplace you want to be.
I love it. Thank you so much, Catherine. Have a fantastic conference.
Thank you.
So my name is Ashley Sherman, and I am a K-5 School Library Media Specialist, and I'm also president of Georgia Library Media Association, giving up my term next March.
Wow. So as president of this organization, can you share with listeners what are some of the things that you have really prioritized as president? What are some of the things that were most important to you that you accomplished during your term?
Well, I think really working with our advocacy team has been instrumental, especially in the state of Georgia right now, and everything they do and all of the work they do, but also just giving professional development opportunities for our state is very important. Through this conference, through the webinars, we're trying to get our Twitter chat back up. And I think, again, we're just better together, as our friend Amanda Jones says. So, yeah, just providing those opportunities for everybody.
So true, so true. Because I know that, we're so lucky to be here at your Summer Institute, but obviously this is a fraction of your membership who is able to attend. So tell me, moving forward, what are some things that you are hoping to see your association do to support the school librarians here in the state?
Yep. So we actually have almost 200 attending, and we have almost 600 members. So we'd love to get more members to attend Summer Institute, of course. We also have region chairs for each of the regions in Georgia, and that's how we do the School Library Media Specialist of the Year Award. So we would love to get our region chairs more involved and really pump up those regions and provide support more at the local level, since we unfortunately lost our membership and our representation at the DOE right now. So sometimes they come to us at Georgia Library Media Association looking for direction.
I see. But I'll tell you what, you're so forward-facing in terms of all the things you do that you share out, especially at the national level. Yeah, I'm really hoping to ask you to explain a little bit more about what you're doing about advocacy, because I know that there are state organizations all around the country who, like you, have recognized that our profession is under attack. What else can you explain about the efforts of advocacy here in Georgia?
So again, we have a great advocacy team, and we're so fortunate too because we're actually partnering with the Georgia Library Association, GLA, for our public libraries for an alliance across the state. So we're so grateful for their partnership because, again, we're in this together. It's not just school libraries. It's not just public libraries. So, again, so fortunate to have those relationships.
Thank you so much. And I got to tell you, as somebody came and crashed your party, I appreciate the invitation. Georgia librarians are doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great summer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. I love you. You are an honorary GLMA member. Always invited.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name's Amy Metzel. I am a grade 6 through 8 media specialist at Ware County Middle School. We are really looking forward to growing our media program. We would like to start up Makerspace. That's one of our goals right now. And we're also going to start up a news for our students.
Wow. So tell me more about, first of all, your news program. Are you going to do like announcements every day, or is this going to be like a video that kids can watch?
It's going to be a video. We're thinking about doing it weekly and letting it roll through homeroom each day. So it will be updated weekly with the announcements.
Wow. And, the fun thing is I'm sure you're going to get a lot of kids excited because they all want to be on the news. Mm-hmm. How are you going to include that into your program? Are you going to have the kids come meet you before school, or is that going to be something they do during a free period?
We are still working on the logistics, but we're hoping to do it right before school starts because we have some time where we can do that.
I love it. So let me ask you, because you mentioned makerspace, and I'm sure the kids are very excited about this idea. How are you going about deciding what you're going to include in your makerspace?
Well, I have seen some sales going on about the Legos. So we're wanting to start out with some Lego sets. So maybe the kids that visit that feel comfortable or they just need some downtime, they can get started on making that, and we will showcase their work in our media center.
I love that because, our media center is always a place where all kids can see themselves. And when you showcase the work they do, this really does put them center stage.
Right.
I'm so excited. So let me ask you, you've got a summer ahead of you.
Yeah.
And that's very exciting. So let me ask, what are some things you're doing to sort of use this time to sort of plan ahead to the next year that's coming?
Yes, I have my wonderful assistant here that we collaborate so well. So we're going back and forth. We have a 4-hour drive ahead of us. So we'll be talking about what we want to do. And we're constantly talking back and forth, collaborating, and getting things done at the library throughout the summer.
Well, I'm sure your students already know this, but how lucky they are to have a dedicated library like you. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name's Heather Gillingham, pursuing high school library media certification through a program at the University of West Georgia. And I came to the conference on a student registration to learn more about the field and make connections and get some ideas for the future.
I find that fascinating because I'll be completely honest, as a librarian, I think I had been a librarian in the libraries for 5 years before I ever had a chance to come up for air and step away and go to a conference. Let me ask you, what are some things that you have found in coming here? I know this is probably the first time you've gone to a school librarian conference.
It is, but what's interesting is that I'm still finding a lot of applications, obviously, to what I do in the classroom. So there's things that I'm learning that I can apply still in the classroom while I'm looking for a job as a media specialist. And then when I'm a media specialist, I'll have like this toolkit of ideas and strategies and also people that I can connect with, my future PLC.
Well, and absolutely that network, that PLN starts now, and it's really going to help enrich your practice and maybe even help you find a job in the future. So let me ask you, as you are moving forward, tell me what class are you taking next in your library program?
Okay, well, I just finished the first two it was the administration of the school library media center. Next, I'll be taking selection, organization, and curation of materials. And also, I believe, something to do with instructional design. Yes.
Well, I got to tell you, I am so grateful for the opportunity to connect with everybody who's here, and I'm fascinated anytime somebody like yourself shows the initiative to come and learn from librarians who are in the field currently. I think you're off to a fantastic start. What are you going to do for the rest of the summer? I know that it sounds like you're going to be very busy.
I am going to Japan in a couple of weeks. And I've got a few other workshop sessions that I will attend through my district, including one on AI, and also teaching newcomer students who have just come to the country and don't have a lot of English yet.
Well, your students are very lucky, and so is your school. Thank you so much, Heather, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Cohen. I am a middle school librarian, and my library, I'm new to the library. I was a teacher before, so this was also starting my 3rd year in the library. And one of my favorite things that came out this past year just out of necessity was reading the library to go get books back and get books in hands. So I started a library at lunch program. So I made this big sign. It's like a big poster with this really goofy looking sandwich guy, and he's like reading a book, and then it sits behind me, and then I loaded up a few carts with some high interest titles and basically just pushed that over to the lunchroom. And the first few times I did it, it was a little bit of chaos, and so my admin was not thrilled with me. But then I sat down with the admin and with the counselors, the people who kind of like run lunch, and they were like, if we can do it this way, it would probably work a little bit better for us. So then we developed this whole system for how kids could come. It upped our book checkouts. I got a lot of books back at lunch that were out for months and months, and kids were just like, oh, I do need to return this. Here it is. And then they go back to their pizza or whatever. So
I love that this is sort of like a satellite collection, and you sort of, library on a cart. You're taking the library to the students where they are.
Yes, absolutely. Because there are a lot of students who, for various reasons, especially with the way our lunch is set up, they're not allowed to necessarily leave homeroom. Either it's because the teacher doesn't trust them out of the room, which is really unfortunate, but it's also sometimes because they have tutoring or they have things that are scheduled during that same downtime that everyone's always trying to capitalize on. So if I'm in the lunchroom, legally we're required to feed them. So they have to be in there. And so once they got used to seeing me in there, and then I kind of developed, I took some of those magnetic things that we could slide cards into, and I put genres onto the carts, and I bungeed the carts together so I could push a bunch of them at the same time, and then the kids could come over and they could browse, and it was a legit, you have options, and they could get really good books, and even if they weren't able to make it to the library. So yeah, it was cool.
But I love that initially your administrators were not on board, and this took a bit of, convincing on your part, but you didn't just give up.
No, well, because as anyone else who ever has been in a middle school lunchroom can tell you, it can be just chaos by itself. And so a lot of administrative teams or just whoever's running the lunchroom, they've had to work really hard to develop a system to make that chaos manageable for them. And so I'm a foreign entity, the bacteria entering the body, basically, So I guess I didn't think about it in that way at first, that I would need to work with the group to figure out how I can be a part of a healthily functioning system, right? So yeah, I think sitting down with them and being I could go table to table, or we could set up a way that we're calling tables to me, or that kind of thing, because definitely different admin have different ways they'd want it to work.
So listeners tuning in are going to be curious, who is overseeing your space when you're in the lunchroom checking out using your mobile library?
So I have a parapro that is full-time, so I'm obviously very, very fortunate to have that. And they're both, I have two, they job share. And both of them are phenomenal. I could leave the library for a month and a half and it would be fine when I came back kind of vibe, But I also have parent volunteers who come in during that downtime. And so they're parent volunteers who often have been with me for more than a year, couple of years. So they're familiar with the school, the community. And then our ISS person, if she doesn't have anybody that day or during that time period, because sometimes they have to go do lunch or remediation or whatever during that time, then she'll come in and she'll help manage as well. So
fantastic. I love it. You provided a program and the solutions to possible barriers that people might, put up for us. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic summer.
Awesome. Same to you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan Ryle. I'm a middle school librarian. I just finished my first year. So my goal this year is that I really connect with my 7th graders. And in the past, the 8th graders haven't come. So now they're going to be 8th graders. So they should be coming and begging their teachers to send them.
So let me ask you, do you have any sort of inkling as to some of the pushback or the resistance? What is it that you think you need to overcome when it comes to bringing in more students who are interested in checking out books?
I think the teachers just didn't know what could happen in this space before me. It was just check the book out, sit and read. And I did a lot of fun things because I'm a fun person and I can't just sit still. So we made lots of crafts. We did pipe cleaner flowers, pipe cleaner flower rings. We did worry dolls because a language arts teacher also taught social studies and she wanted to bring in that connection. So we learned about worry dolls and they made them out of pipe cleaners. And it's just fun stuff.
I love that. And it sounds like you've got some time right now. We've got the summer coming up. What are some things that you're looking forward to doing to help that you can then implement in your program when the school year starts in the fall?
Yeah, I'm going to look at the 8th grade standards and see what their units to study are and see if I can kind of build in some fun hands-on experiences that'll get them to come back.
What lucky students, what lucky teachers. Megan, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Amber. I am at a K-3 elementary school. I am the unicorn of my district. I absolutely love it. Since I am at a K-3, I had to find some kind of inventive ways to keep my kids entertained. So one of my favorite things I like to do with my kindergartners is we sing a lot. So we're doing the Impatient Caterpillar book. We're doing caterpillar dances. So I'm reading a bee book. We're doing bee dances to tell you how to get your honey from the flower. And then I use a lot of passive programming in my library as well. So we have a coloring center. We have a Bloxo center, planks, different things that I can help students check out because I am in the library by myself. So I have to have something for my students to do so that I can get the other ones that need to check out, and to find their books quickly without driving myself insane.
There are so many people for whom teaching the littles is absolutely a terrifying concept. It sounds like you've got a great deal of confidence working with this age group. Can you tell us what are some best practices? You've got a lot of people out there who are going to be starting working with our littles right off at the beginning of the school year. For you, what do you think are absolute best practices when it comes to working with our littles?
I think when you're incorporating some type of music or some type of song, it helps with the transition because they start looking for that. So my students, they know when to line up, they know when to clean up, they know when we get ready to do story time because all of that is facilitated by me doing a song. Either I'm singing it or I have a YouTube video playing a song. So my students know the routines based on these songs. And I think another thing that I found out with my littles, because I have some of my ESE students that come in, they will not sit with that unless they have something in their hands. So I always have blocks out for them to play with or unit-based cues. So as long as the hands is busy, the ears are listening.
Oh, I love it. It sounds like you have really created a very effective way to work with these littles. And they're so lucky to have you. Now, Amber, we're going into the summer. What is something that you're going to do to help you sort of get in the right frame of mind for the next year to start?
So I am really excited because last year I started traveling with book bag tours. So I'm actually heading over to Japan for 2 weeks in order to go into the school system over there to see what they do over there so I can bring that back. Because we're always telling our students to be global learners, but how can I be a global learner if I'm stuck in Georgia?
Oh my goodness. I am so grateful you decided to stop by. It sounds like you are a lifelong learner and you are ready to bring the best you can to your building.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out just to listen to me.
Thanks, Amber.
Robin Thompson, McAllister Elementary in Bryan County, Georgia. And this year I took on being on the Summer Institute committee as session chair. So I read all the proposals, and we had more than we've ever had submitted, and put together the schedule for all of our sessions.
And you make it sound easy, but I know it's not because you're trying to balance those offerings. You want to make sure offerings aren't competing. But it sounds like you had a good problem with lots of people stepping up. And again, that's not something that everybody always has. You and I have only really known each other online, but apparently you are really leaning into this personality. You are absolutely effervescent. But you introduce yourself as Crazy Miss T. And let me ask, how has your personality bubbled over into all that you do?
So I have always sort of been an ADHD type personality, not really diagnosed till much later in my adulthood, but I just have endless energy. Eventually I do hit a brick wall, but being at the elementary level, I feel like sometimes my mentality is that of like a 5-year-old or a fourth grader. And so I feel like it helps me relate to them. I love just shenanigans is what I call it. So whether it's at Carline, whether we are in our element, my library I call Camp Read Some More. We embrace everything about camping and reading and doing more of it, some more of it. But I just think I just have realized that I am completely where I need to be and feel the most appreciated at the level and at the school I'm at right now. But a lot of that with my principal in my faculty seemed to appreciate my energy. That was one of the things when they hired me. They said, "We need your energy." And I felt like that was the first time I'd been told that in a positive way.
Well, and I'm going to tell you right now, so many of us, we've been told, oh, you don't seem like a librarian. I think you are in a one-person campaign to dismantle this whole preconceptions and stereotypes that we confront in our profession.
So you hear a lot of us now, the librarians, I say us, librarians, they're called like loud librarians, lively librarians. We are not the little stereotypical cardigan granny classes, telling everybody to shh, so like they don't shush me, Kelsey Bogan. A lot of us are breaking that stereotype, and I think it's good because it's not just a quiet place anymore. Our minds are loud with activity and with imagination and with ideas. And it's good to be able to say those things and get them out and not feel like we have to, librarians, the old school librarians, you felt like you had to keep everything in. And we should let our kids get out their imagination and their creativity.
And you're such a role model for our students when it comes to being excited about being in the library. I just want to channel that. And thank you so much for being here. We've got a busy summer coming up. What are some things that you're going to do to energize yourself before the next school year starts?
We have new chickens. So I am also the chicken lady. We did an incubator at school. We hatched 9 out of our 12 eggs. They are now almost 6 weeks old, and they will go back to my school at the end of the summer because we have a school coop. So I'm taking care of the girls and updating the parents and the kids because they kind of watched this whole thing. So taking care of the chickens that will go back to my school, to the school coop, because we sell the eggs.
Okay, I had no idea that Robin has a chicken coop, and as the librarian, you're in charge. My goodness, please tell me that you'll join the conversation sometime this year. Yeah. We can record an episode.
Yes, there's so much more that you had no idea about Crazy Miss T. So yeah, I'd be happy to share anything.
Friends, it's been an absolute pleasure, and you can guarantee we're going to hear more from Crazy Miss T sometime in season 7.
Yes, also, I can't wait.
Thank you. If you found this episode helpful, please share it out with your team, your PLN, and on social media. Be sure to follow on your favorite podcatcher so you'll never miss an episode. And if you really like listening today, consider leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Reviews help others find us. Use the code UNITED to take advantage of Capstone's generous $20 discount off an order of $100 or more. The topic of our next episode will be middle school magic and my conversation with Maggie Hall. I hope you will tune in.